The winds howled through the trees as the skies darkened. The elders spoke of the great flood that was coming, a punishment for the greed of humankind. Nanabozho, the trickster-hero, stood tall, his heart heavy with the weight of their actions. He had seen the greed in their eyes, felt the shift in the balance of nature. The animals came to him, seeking guidance as the earth trembled beneath their feet. They gathered around Nanabozho, knowing that only he could lead them through this dark time. "Prepare," Nanabozho said, his voice calm, yet filled with an urgency that sparked fear in the hearts of all who heard him. "The flood is near, and only those who understand the earth's balance will survive." As he spoke, the water began to rise in the distance, slowly creeping toward the village. Nanabozho knew that the time to act was now, and that his journey would be one of sacrifice, survival, and rebirth. The first raindrops fell gently, almost soothingly, but soon the sky opened up, unleashing torrents of water. Nanabozho and the animals hurried to prepare the canoe, a vessel that would be their only chance at survival. The floodwaters swirled like a great beast, consuming everything in its path. The village, once bustling with life, was now swallowed by the rising tides. In the chaos, Nanabozho's mind raced. He had seen the signs, felt the warning in his bones, but now there was no time to waste. "We must go!" he shouted. The canoe, barely big enough for them all, rocked violently in the turbulent waters. As the flood began to drown the world, the trickster-hero and his companions were forced to flee into the unknown. The animals huddled together in the canoe, each one silently acknowledging the gravity of their situation. Nanabozho steered the canoe with steady hands, guiding them through the rising waters. The air was thick with the scent of rain, and the roar of the flood was deafening. The once familiar world was now an alien landscape of water and chaos. Nanabozho glanced at his companions, mice, birds, deer, and beavers, each of them frightened but resolute. The waters surged, flooding everything in its wake, but the canoe held steady, drifting ever onward. Nanabozho's eyes narrowed as he surveyed the horizon. Something was coming, something he could not yet understand. But deep inside, he knew that their journey had only just begun, and the flood was only the first trial they would face. As the floodwaters continued to rise, Nanabozho saw something that caught his eye. The muskrat, small and determined, swimming furiously through the water. It was as if the animal understood the significance of what was about to happen. Nanabozho watched as the muskrat dove beneath the surface, disappearing into the depths of the water. His heart raced with a strange anticipation. What was the muskrat up to? Moments later, the muskrat resurfaced, gasping for air, its tiny paws carrying a small clump of earth. It was a brave creature, willing to sacrifice itself for the survival of all. "This is the way," Nanabozho said softly, understanding the muskrat's gesture. He reached down, taking the earth from the muskrat's paws, knowing that this small piece of land would be the foundation of the new world. With the muskrat's sacrifice, the water had begun to settle. The canoe drifted toward a great turtle, its massive shell rising from the water like a small island. Nanabozho and the animals saw the turtle's back as a sanctuary, a place where the earth would begin anew. The turtle had long been a symbol of endurance and stability, and now it would carry the world on its back. Nanabozho, knowing the importance of the turtle's role, guided the canoe onto the turtle's back. As the animals disembarked, they marveled at the solid ground beneath their feet. The turtle had saved them, and now they would rebuild the world from the small piece of earth brought up from the depths. The flood had ravaged the land, but the story of renewal was just beginning. As the animals settled onto the turtle's back, they noticed that the earth was beginning to change. The soil brought up by the muskrat began to spread and grow, slowly at first, but with increasing speed. Grasses, trees, and flowers began to sprout, creating a lush and vibrant landscape on the turtle's back. Nanabozho watched with awe as life returned to the world. He knew that this was just the beginning of the rebirth. The world had been destroyed, but in its place, a new one would rise. Nanabozho smiled as the animals explored the new land, each one marveling at the growth that surrounded them. It was a world that had been saved by sacrifice, and it was up to them to protect it. As the days passed, the animals adapted to their new world. Nanabozho led them on the first hunt, teaching them how to live off the land once again. The waters had receded, leaving behind fertile ground. The animals now had the opportunity to rebuild, but they needed to learn the ways of the land to survive. The hunt was a success, and the animals were able to gather food. Nanabozho smiled as he watched them work together, knowing that their survival depended on unity. The world was healing, and he felt a deep sense of responsibility for the future. But in the back of his mind, he wondered, what other challenges lay ahead? Nanabozho had always been a trickster, a cunning and clever being who loved to test the world around him. With the earth beginning to flourish once more, he couldn't resist setting a new challenge for himself. He decided to play a game with the animals, a test of wit and wisdom. If they could outsmart him, they would prove their worthiness to live in this new world. The animals, curious and eager to prove themselves, accepted Nanabozho's challenge. They had already learned the ways of the land, but now they would need to use their intelligence to succeed. Nanabozho grinned, knowing that this would be a game like no other. Little did they know, the trickster's plans were never what they seemed. The challenge began with Nanabozho setting a riddle for the animals to solve. The first to answer correctly would be declared the victor. The animals, eager to impress the trickster, gathered around as Nanabozho posed his first riddle. They thought long and hard, each animal trying to outwit the other. Hours passed, but no one could figure out the answer. Nanabozho's laughter echoed across the land as he watched the animals struggle. He had crafted the riddle with great care, knowing it would test their patience and intelligence. Finally, it was the smallest of the animals, a rabbit, who spoke up with the correct answer. The animals cheered, impressed by the rabbit's cleverness. With the battle of wits behind them, Nanabozho stood at the edge of the new land, watching the first sunrise of the reborn world. The sky was painted with hues of orange and pink, casting a warm glow over the land. The animals gathered around, marveling at the beauty of the world they had been given. Nanabozho smiled, knowing that the flood had been a trial for them all. It had taken much to survive, but now they had a chance to start anew. He turned to the animals, his voice steady but filled with hope. "This is only the beginning," he said. "The world is reborn, and it is up to us to protect it." The sun rose higher, casting light over the land that would now be their home. As the days passed, Nanabozho began to notice something troubling. There were whispers among the animals of strange happenings at the edges of their new world. A dark cloud was gathering, and Nanabozho knew that something was wrong. The peace they had fought so hard for seemed fragile, and there were forces beyond their understanding threatening it. Nanabozho's instincts told him that the world wasn't as safe as it appeared. He called a meeting of the animals, his expression serious. "We have to prepare," he said. "Something is coming, and we must be ready to face it." The animals listened intently, knowing that Nanabozho's words always carried weight. The calm was about to be shattered, and they would need all their strength to survive. The winds began to pick up, carrying with them a sense of unease. Nanabozho felt it in the air, the pressure, the tension. The animals looked to him for guidance, but even he couldn't shake the feeling that something was coming. The storm was rising, and it was not one of nature's making. The world had just begun to heal, but now something darker was threatening to undo everything. As the skies darkened and thunder rumbled in the distance, Nanabozho gathered the animals together. "Prepare yourselves," he said, his voice steady. "Whatever comes, we will face it together." The animals nodded, their determination unwavering. They had survived the flood, and they would survive whatever came next. One night, as the animals slept, a strange figure appeared at the edge of the land. Nanabozho awoke to the sound of movement, his instincts alert. He crept silently through the forest, his eyes narrowing as he spotted the figure. It was tall, cloaked in shadows, and moved with an eerie grace. Nanabozho knew immediately that this was no ordinary creature. The figure turned, sensing Nanabozho's presence. Their eyes met, and for a moment, there was a silent understanding between them. Nanabozho didn't know who this intruder was or what they wanted, but one thing was clear. The peace they had fought for was about to be challenged once more. The figure, now revealed to be a powerful spirit, challenged Nanabozho to a battle for control of the land. The animals, seeing the tension, gathered around, ready to fight by Nanabozho's side. The trickster-hero was no stranger to conflict, but this battle was different. It wasn't just a fight for survival. It was a fight for the future of the world they had created. The battle raged through the night, the earth trembling beneath the force of their struggle. Nanabozho used all his cunning and strength, but the spirit was a formidable opponent. As the fight reached its peak, Nanabozho saw the spirit's true purpose, to destroy the balance they had worked so hard to restore. With a final, powerful blow, Nanabozho struck down the spirit, ending the battle and restoring peace once more. With the intruder vanquished, Nanabozho stood tall, his heart heavy with the weight of their journey. The animals had witnessed the battle and saw how close they had come to losing everything. But Nanabozho's wisdom and strength had prevailed, and the balance of the world was restored. He knew that their journey wasn't over. The world was still fragile, and they would need to continue working together to protect it. But for now, there was peace. The sun rose once again over the land, casting its light on a world that had been saved, but not yet fully healed. The animals knew that their survival depended on their unity, and they were ready to face whatever challenges came next. Months passed, and the world seemed to settle into a rhythm. The animals thrived, and Nanabozho continued to watch over them. But just when they thought they were safe, a new threat arose. The waters began to rise again, slowly but surely. Nanabozho's heart sank as he realized that the flood had returned, this time more powerful than before. The animals panicked, unsure of how to survive. Nanabozho stood at the edge of the land, his mind racing. He knew that they couldn't survive the flood this time, not without help. It was time for another sacrifice, one that would change the fate of the world forever. The muskrat, having already sacrificed itself once, was not willing to give up. But Nanabozho understood that it was not the muskrat's role this time. It was the turtle who would once again bear the weight of the world. The animals gathered around the turtle, ready to make their final sacrifice. Nanabozho, filled with resolve, made his decision. In an act of selflessness, Nanabozho asked the turtle to dive into the rising waters, carrying with it the seed of the earth. The turtle, understanding the gravity of the request, agreed. As the floodwaters rose higher, the turtle disappeared beneath the waves, taking the earth with it. The animals watched in silence, knowing that the future of their world rested in the hands of the turtle. The floodwaters receded, and once again, the land began to heal. Nanabozho and the animals watched as the turtle resurfaced, carrying with it the earth once more. The flood had tested them, but they had persevered. The world was reborn, this time with a deeper understanding of the balance between all things. The animals celebrated, knowing that they had survived not just because of their strength, but because of their unity. They had learned that the world was fragile, and it was up to them to protect it. Nanabozho smiled, knowing that their journey was far from over, but that they were stronger now, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. With the earth once again flourishing, Nanabozho stood at the edge of the world, watching the sunset. The journey had been long and difficult, but they had survived. The animals had proven themselves worthy of the new world they had been given. Nanabozho's heart swelled with pride, knowing that they had created something beautiful from the ashes of the old world. He turned to the animals, his voice filled with hope. "This is our world now," he said. "We will protect it, nurture it, and ensure that it never falls into greed again." The animals nodded, their faces filled with determination. The flood had come, but they had emerged stronger, ready to create a future where balance and harmony reigned once more. As the stars twinkled above, Nanabozho looked out over the land he had helped to rebuild. He had been the trickster, the hero, the one who had led them through the trials of the flood. But now, as he looked at the thriving world, he knew that his work was far from over. The trickster's legacy was not in his victories, but in his lessons. The world was reborn, but it was up to those who lived in it to protect it. Nanabozho smiled, his heart full. The flood had been a test, but now the real work had begun. The animals had learned the value of unity, balance, and respect for the earth, and with that knowledge, they would continue to thrive, passing on the lessons of the flood to future generations. Thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate your time and support. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment with your thoughts, and share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Your support means the world, and I can't wait to bring you more exciting content. See you in the next one.